Today, we will discuss the magic, the incredible power of the animal familiar, and specifically the cat, arguably the most famous power animal and animal familiar. What is an animal familiar, you may ask? This is a concept that now has become a legend, but for thousands of years was considered common. The idea of a magical person, a powerful person, using the power of an animal, either as a companion or even to merge souls or to absorb their power. Today, we will get into the specifics and the history of the cat, how cats were used across the world, and how their legacy as magical familiars live on. In every age, the cat has been both worshipped and feared, a creature that walks the edge between worlds. To some, it is a guardian of temples. To others, it is the shadow of the witch. But long before the cat, or even the black cat, became a symbol of darkness, of magic and witchery, these felines prowled through both the physical world and myths as guides, protectors, and bridges between the physical world and the esoteric. Today, we will trace their footprints through time, from goddesses, sorcerers, familiars, and outcasts, and eventually heretics. Let us begin with the legend of the cats of the Norse traditions, the cats of Freyja. In the frost-covered north, cats were sacred to the goddess Freyja, the mistress of magic, love, and sedir, the ancient art of sorcery. Freyja's chariot was said to be drawn by two massive cats, fierce, long-haired beasts, gifted to her by the god Thor. They were not pets, but totemic beings, embodiments of independence, sensuality, and feminine power. To honor Freyja, women left bowls of cream on their doorsteps to feed the wandering cats of the village, believing it would bring fertility and good harvests. Sorcerers who practiced sedir, or sorcery, often invoked the cat when seeking charm, allure, or mastery of desire. Cat bones or fur were carried as talismans of persuasion and protection. The cat's grace mirrored the art of magic itself, weaving unseen threads of fate. Its ability to see in the dark made it a companion for divination and a companion for traveling between realms. In Egypt, of course, cats were also incredibly powerful. Of note, there was Bastet. Here, far to the south in ancient Egypt, cats reigned not just as familiars, but as deities. The goddess Bastet, a lioness turned into a domestic cat, embodied both fierce protection and gentle motherhood. Her temples were filled with living cats cared for by priestesses. When one died, the entire household would shave their eyebrows in mourning. Bastet's sacred cats were vessels of divine presence. To feed them was to earn the blessing of Bastet, and to harm them was punishable by death. To this day, archaeologists have uncovered thousands of mummified cats wrapped in linen and buried with jewelry and milk offerings, tokens of devotion that crossed centuries and crossed realms. In the Egyptian magic, cats symbolize the Eye of Ra, the solar fire that destroys chaos. Women invoked Bastet for fertility and sensual pleasures. Healers called upon her to ward off plagues and serpents. The domestic cat's habit of defending grain from rodents linked it to abundance and prosperity. It was protector, priest, and companion, all in one living form. It straddled between realities. Interestingly, as well, in Asia, the Japanese believed in both the bakaneko and the nekomata. In Japan, cats are creatures of transformation. When a household cat lives long enough, they believe that it might evolve into a bakaneko, a cat spirit capable of walking on two legs, speaking a human language, or even resurrecting the dead. And nekomata is an elder and more dangerous cat. It was said to grow two tails. It could summon spirits of the dead, dance with lanterns at night, and bring vengeance to cruel masters. Yet not all were feared. Cats were also servants of Kannon, the goddess of mercy, and guardians of Buddhist temples. Their presence warded off malevolent forces. The Japanese sorcerer's relationship with cats was one of respect and reciprocity. To feed and to honor a cat meant protection from wandering spirits, and to harm them meant the loss of luck itself. And, unsurprisingly, even in the Americas, cats were also seen as magical creatures that straddled between the living realm and the realm of the dead. In both the Maya and the Mexica culture, the feline form reached its most powerful expression in the form of the jaguar. The jaguar was considered the night sun, the underworld traveler, the master of transformation. It was believed that humans could attain what was called a nawal, to be able to transform their human form into an animal form, a spirit twin, if you will. And the jaguar was considered the most powerful form a person could transform into. To dream of a jaguar was to be chosen by the gods for hidden knowledge. In Mesoamerica, sorcerers painted jaguar spots on their skin before rituals, or they would wear the pelts of the jaguar to merge their essences together. Also, smaller domestic cats introduced later were seen as echoes of this sacred lineage. The cat was not just an idea or a symbol of power, it was a portal into other realms. And fascinatingly, cats were also seen as power animals throughout the African subcontinent. Throughout many tribes, all throughout Africa, warriors would often wear the pelts of lions or leopards, thus claiming their power as their own, in a sense, symbolizing the merging of their spirits, absorbing the power of that animal, thus creating fear in other men. Unsurprisingly, in medieval Europe, because of this ancient reputation of cats, the Christian church began to demonize cats and see them as bad omens and see them as the familiar of witches. This became apparent through witch trials all throughout medieval Europe, and unsurprisingly, as they were burning women and men, they would also burn cats. Interestingly, as they burned and murdered hundreds and hundreds of cats, there became a rodent overpopulation, and many believe that this was the beginning of the bubonic plague. Perhaps the medieval Europeans killing so many cats allowed the bubonic plague to proliferate amongst the rodent population. Sometimes we forget that as human beings, our ancestors were deeply enmeshed into the animal and plant kingdoms. There was no separation between human and animal, and human and nature. We all lived together as one, and also believed that our consciousnesses intertwined. Let us not forget that our ancestors, regardless of where they were from, believed in spirits and believed in the power of animals. Perhaps we may have lost these abilities in our modern day, but perhaps they're not so easy to reconnect to. Follow my podcast for deeper dives and full episodes.